Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
We made it.
Here it is, buddy.
It's been a terrible 2020.
It's been subpar.
It's about to get a lot better.
Ooh, so much better.
Put me under quarantine now. Preferably on Sundays.
Just keep me in my house.
2020 football season is upon us.
Play football every single day of the week. It's fine with me.
So many Dynasty fantasy football points coming my way. Bold predictions today.
Championships to come.
2020 football. Finally made it.
Are you ready?
Yes, and welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Rich Dotson, with my fellow nerd, Matt O'Hara.
Hey, hey.
Matt, football is here. Real NFL football.
Unbelievable.
We've had no preseason.
Nope.
We've had very limited hunky-dory practices.
Yeah, nothing that we could visually see other than little snippets.
Little snippets. Yeah.
Here and there through the Twitters.
Through the tweets.
Tweet tweets.
For the most part, everybody came out healthy. I mean, this time of year, during a preseason, people are tearing their ACLs once a week.
I was actually surprised with obviously the lack of a normal training, like a normal off season, that there weren't more when people reported to training camp. So they must have really eased them in nicely. And for the most part, they did a pretty good job with injuries.
Von Miller, reportedly like an hour ago, got hurt pretty bad. He might be out for the year, but it's, if you play IDP, and I don't.
Nope.
Love it.
Either.
From when I hear about it. And with our Jordan Raines taking over our IDP department, him and John Glosser working together to run the IDP department and trying to come up with a good baseline for IDP points. Maybe that'll help me into some IDP leagues.
Are you saying IP? IDP?
I see what? My P? What?
ICUP?
Listen here, Pervy McGurvey.
You're just mumbling through
This is a private moment, okay?
That IDP.
Stop peeking below the table and maybe you won't see things.
If you don't have the D in it, then it's just an individual player. That's what we're all playing.
Well, where's the fun if I'm not bringing the D?
Yeah.
What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Huh?
I don't, yeah.
Yeah. What is this? What am I, Odell Beckham Jr.? Huh? No. That's a messy situation.
You need to have the sign with the D and the fence.
That'll never get old.
That will never get old.
I can't wait to be that old guy.
That will literally always get you on television. Bring a big D and a fence.
Yeah, well, half of it. The fence at least.
Yeah.
So today we're back. We're talking 2020 bold predictions. We have 20 of them. Nope, sorry. We have 17 of them.
17, yeah.
We also have some giveaway. We're going to have a contest at the end of the show. Stay tuned about how you can get some free month of Dynasty Nerd GM and Nerd Herd.
A little free access, man.
Yeah. We're probably giving me like 4 or 5 away.
It's like a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah. Wait till you check out. Wait till you get a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah.
You get access to everything that the Nerd Herd has. The film room, the rankings, the nerd score, and then, of course, the extra podcast, and then the Dynasty GM tool, which is probably the greatest tool in history of Dynasty tools. We just added Flea Flicker, Matt.
Yes, we did.
Win now option is going to be up within the next week and a half.
Coming soon.
Ooh, is this a trailer?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Coming soon to a Dynasty fantasy football player near you.
Ooh, Dynasty Nerds Part 6. Wait, yeah. 6.5 years we've been doing this?
I don't even know, man. I can't keep track anymore.
I can. 2014.
All I know is I had no gray hair, and
our kids were little.
All of our hairlines were a little bit farther down.
True.
So it's been a little bit.
Some of us age better than others.
Yeah. Right.
You better than others. Me? Yeah. I'll be 41 in a month, so not too bad.
Yeah.
Hey, could be worse.
It definitely could be worse.
Honestly, I'm breathing, and I'm about to watch football on Thursday.
That's amazing.
Can't get it much better than that. And on Sunday?
And for 2020, that's pretty good.
Very good.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a long road for all of us. We made it. Again, not just a long road, just getting ready for the season, wondering what's going to happen, and just to have content to discuss and go over. with no preseason and limited access everywhere. So we're going to get into it here. Some 17 bold predictions. But before we do, a word from our sponsor, DynastyOwner.com. That's right. The season's about to start, so this is your last chance to get in there and play Dynasty Fantasy Football a brand new way. You could be the GM. You could be the coach. You could be the owner. You can be, well, whatever you want to be.
All the above, really.
You're the Dynasty owner.
Yep.
You take the actual NFL salary cap and you draft players per their actual NFL salaries and contracts. So this gives you the opportunity to play NFL GM. If you had a salary cap and you could build the ultimate fantasy football team, how would you spend that money? Would you take Clyde Edwards-Helaire 1-1 because he's so cheap on a 5-year deal? Possibly. Would you take a good rookie? I would.
What about a guy like James Robinson, right?
Ooh, undrafted.
Undrafted free agent who's just kind of fallen into a starting running back spot.
Abracadabra, bitches. Here I am. I'm the guy. So check it out. DynastyOwner.com. Go to /nerds so you can be possibility to enter a Nerd Herd League with fellow Dynasty Nerd members.
Yep.
DynastyOwner.com /nerds gives you the opportunity to play Dynasty Fantasy Football a whole brand new way. But before you do, make sure you get in there and do a quick mock draft because that's always fun.
It's always good. It's always good to practice before you actually get into the live show.
I play it. My friends play it. And if you want to play it, go to DynastyOwner.com /nerds. Check them out today. Matt.
Rich.
Bold predictions. Now, some of my bold predictions came true last year. Joe Mixon not being a running back one.
Just missed.
Man, Matt,
Garrett, what do you have to say about that?
Garrett, you shut your mouth this whole episode.
Exactly.
I don't even want to hear a peep from you. Okay? Coming in here with that T-shirt. How dare you?
How dare you?
So I don't remember all my bold predictions last year. I probably should have checked up on that and give a refresher. But you can go back and look.
You can always go back and listen. I remember one. We'll be talking about it later.
Matt's doubling down. Doubling down on one he was correct on.
Yes, I was. Uh-huh.
So let's just dive in, shall we?
Let's do it.
I mean, why wear the Speedo if we're not going to go diving? Let it hang. Let it hang. Freeze a bird.
I mean, why wear the Speedo to begin with was my question upon coming into this room and seeing you in a Speedo. But
Matt, I need a clean dive.
I know.
I'm diving in, okay? Trying to be a 10.
No splash.
Okay? I've been a 6.5 my whole life. And now I'm trying to be a 10. For once in my life.
This is your opportunity.
One time I wore a mask and I was almost there. Here I am. On the pre-eve, because this comes out on Wednesday, eve of the NFL season. Pat Mahomes versus Deshaun Watson. You know I have a Deshaun Watson bold prediction.
Ooh.
Even though I had one. So I had a couple on our top 12 episode. I said Daniel Jones would be a QB1.
Right.
And I said Deshaun Watson will not be a QB1. So I have somebody else on here who will finish higher than Deshaun Watson. It's a bold prediction. But Matt.
Not yet. Sir, not yet.
Before I can pick out my bold predictions, I can't see into the future without my crystal balls.
Absolutely not.
Let me just dig down in here and get these. Oh, yeah, it's been a while. Shiny.
Yes, buff those up.
Oh, dude. Ooh, yep. Looking pretty clear and succulent balls. Let's look in here. Let's look in the future. Balls. Sweet succulent balls. Tell us, what does the 2020 season behold for us? Matt, these balls are a subsidiary of me.
They are a subsidiary of yours, aren't they?
Lesser than the whole of me. Bold prediction number 1 from Rich Dodson. Matt, Preston Williams will be a top 16 fantasy football wide receiver. Right now, they have Mike Gesicki as number 2 tight end on the depth chart. Again, these depth charts don't mean anything. But with Devontae Parker missing some time, really being a 1-2-man show, Jordan Howard's your running back, Matt Breida. You look for Ryan Fitzpatrick still to be the guy who's going to throw the ball a ton. Look for Preston Williams to be the benefit of this throwing the ball a ton.
Right.
He is somebody last year that actually outproduced Devontae Parker when they were both on the field. It took Devontae Parker going out into the year last year until he became the wide receiver that got him the contract extension, and now he's a dynasty darling again, who we all like. And this is a guy who averaged, Matt, from week 7 to 9 last year, as he was really starting to come into stride right before he got hurt those last 3 weeks. He was wide receiver 13 overall. He averaged 14.9 points per game. And right now in Miami, for a team that's still in the rebuild mode, that defense is still going to be pretty bad. So they're going to be constantly trailing, chucking up. And anytime you chuck the ball up to a guy who's 6'5", 218 pounds that could run fast is always going to be a really good sign. He's saying he's feeling just about 100% from the ACL tear. I expect Preston Williams, along with the guy, our other guy that we love, Darius Slayton, both to really establish themselves as Dynasty assets. You can argue right now they are Dynasty assets, but I'm ready then to take the main stage in the redraft world, and that's when you made it.
That is when you made it. But from a Dynasty standpoint, when a guy flashes in year one, it obviously excites you, especially these undrafted guys that you got pretty late in your draft or just off the waiver wire. But I do like to see them do it a second time around before I really start committing to these guys. Preston Williams, he might be kind of in a different level than a Darius Slayton for me, because Preston Williams, he slid in the draft due to off-field concerns. Yeah. His tape jumped off the screen to me. So for him, it's a little bit easier for me to buy into something like what you just said in coming into year two.
And plus, I like Preston Williams more than Darius Slayton just because of more opportunity as well.
Absolutely.
More targets. In New York, you got Sterling Shepard there to argue and fight with, Evan Ingram, Golden Tate, Saquon Barkley. There's a lot of targets to go around for a guy like Daniel Jones. Right now in Miami, it's Preston Williams and Devontae Parker.
That's it. Yep. That is it. I mean, obviously Gesicki is a pass catching tight end, so he'll get some, but he's not going to get as much as a traditional wide receiver you would think throughout a game.
And after the point where we're even considering him to be like a nice tight end one, he still needs to take another big step forward this year. So right now we know they're excited about Preston Williams. This is something that the team has been talking about, a player they like. They already gave Devontae Parker a contract, and if the teams do press Devontae Parker as their wide receiver one, which is what you would assume, then Preston Williams to see the benefit of that. So I like Preston Williams this year to be a top 16 fantasy football receiver, which was a high-end wide receiver too.
Right on.
Matt O'Hara, give me one of your bold predictions.
Put those crystal balls away. I don't have them. So you know me, I'm very bold in my predictions for the most part. So here we go.
I saw your list. This is the most bold you've ever been in 6 years of doing the pod.
Ever. So number one, Aaron Rodgers is going to throw for 4,500 yards plus. He's also going to have at least 35 touchdowns and finish as quarterback 4 overall.
Holy shnikes. Devontae Adams is going to have 30 touchdowns?
30 touchdowns for Devontae Adams. So here's my reason. I mean, obviously last year he had around 4,000 yards, and Devontae, Adams missed a big chunk of the season. And if he's able to come in and step in, I mean, that's an easy jump for me, an extra 500 yards on top of what he had last year. But what I like to hear is that, Marquis Valdez Scanlan is getting rave reviews again, saying that he might actually have supplanted Allen Lazard. And Allen Lazard showed last year that he can be a pretty viable option as well. So now you go from basically having Allen Lazard last year to to getting Devontae Adams for the whole year, Allen Lazard, and Marquez Valdez Scantling as kind of a nice three-way go there for your wide receiver core. Not to mention the tight ends.
Both tight ends, Robert Tonyan and Jace Sternberger.
Right, and then you throw in the fact that Aaron Jones is in a contract year and is going to want to perform as much as possible, and he's a nice option out of the backfield as well. I could easily see him outperforming a lot of his expectations, at least going into the season.
And there is a lot of rumbling coming out of Green Bay right now that they are working on a contract extension for Aaron Jones. Mm-hmm. So if that gets done by Sunday, that would not surprise me at this point. It looks like they're actually actively trying to keep Aaron Jones pretty strong, which makes sense. The guy's a really good runner. The guy was running back 2 last year?
He was running back 2, yeah.
So it makes sense. It's hard when you get a guy who finishes like running back 2 overall last year, and there's not like a lot of buzz out there right now. I'm like, hey, let me get a first for Aaron Jones. I'm like, I'd rather have DeAndre Swift.
Well, I mean, I think it's because he scored so many touchdowns, and there is definitely going to be a regression there. So it's hard. It's
funny.
hard.
I have a guy who on my list here for bold prediction has scored a lot of touchdowns too that I look to see a lot of regression from.
Ooh.
Maybe approximately 18.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big regression.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to score 18 again, but we'll see. It could be anybody, right? Any running back in the world.
Any running back.
That
relies heavily on volume and touchdowns.
Okay. Well, I would say I agree with you on this, but it would ruin one of my bold predictions.
Oh, all right.
So we'll just wait.
There's only room for one there.
There's only room for one. Let's move on. Bold prediction number 2, 3 overall. Number 2 for me. Matt, you've heard this name come out of my mouth for 3 years straight.
Let's hear it.
And I'm finally ready to stand on a soapbox and take all the applause for being right. When it happens, of course.
When it happens.
My bold prediction number 2 for me is Jerick McKinnon will be a top 16 PPR fantasy running back, which is going to be a high-end running back too. This is just a situation, again, if I'm going to recover the bases here, he's in San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan, you could argue, is one of the best running back coaches in the game today.
Absolutely.
And this is a guy that he chose in Jerick McKinnon to be a very important part of his scheme and his system. So much so where they had a complete out from him this year, they still kept him around. Granted, it was at a reduced salary, but at the same time, we got to remember, in 2018, they gave Jerick McKinnon a 4-year deal worth $36.9 million.
It's been reduced since. His salary is no longer that bloated salary.
But he's been paid a lot.
Right, absolutely. Yep.
For a reason. This is a system where Kyle Shanahan has where his running backs have finished in the top 8 in receptions and top 5 in receiving yards for all the years that he's been there, for the last 3 years. This is a man who gets production out of his running backs. Look what he did with Raheem Mostert, right? Raheem Mostert is a guy at the street. Now you want Raheem Mostert on your roster. You're drafting him in redraft to be your guy. He chose Jerick McKinnon to be his PPR running back. Kyle Shanahan utilizes his running backs in the passing game. They always finish in the top 5 in receiving yards. Raheem Mostert's not going to be that prime time receiver running back. It's going to be Jerick McKinnon. Reports out of camp right now that he looks electric. No linebacker can stay with him. His speed, his athleticism is top notch. Showed that in Minnesota. It's a reason he got a big contract in San Francisco. If Jerick McKinnon can stay healthy, he's going to finish as a top 16 fantasy running back in PPR leagues. He won't necessarily have the rushing yards, but I think he will come away with the receiving yards and the catches to finish as that low-end running back too. That we always see those PPR running backs that squeeze into like running back 11, running back 12.
Yep.
If everybody stays healthy, which I have to kind of bar this on, I think he's going to finish on the outside of that, which puts him right around like 14, 15, 16. If anything happens, maybe Mostert, maybe get, and Tevin Coleman's just a jag.
Sure.
Where he just gets some carries before the yard. I think Jerick McKinnon's a great asset this year. I've loved him for 3 years, but now he's actually going to the season healthy. So now I'm excited about what I'm going to get. This is a guy who I said, hey, pay a first-round pick if you have to 2 years ago. I've looked like an idiot since then. Well, I'm ready to turn that frown upside down. And what's that called when everybody's been laughing at you for a while, and then you're like, hey, egg on you now.
In your face, jerk?
Ooh, in your face, jerks.
Is what I usually...
Hey, jerks listening, in your face.
So
your ears.
So I'm with you there. I think he is going to have a low rushing total, but I could see him getting like 400 yards though in the rushing department, and then like another 600-700 yards in passing.
That's what I was thinking, like 480 rushing.
Yeah. So I mean, you're in the 1,100 yard, all purpose type of territory there, which is pretty decent. As you know, you're not going to get to 700 yards receiving without having 50 or 60 catches. So
I think it's be a little bit, that's the thing. I think it's be a little bit above that.
Yeah.
I really will. Definitely how they're going to start off slow with the receiver. I know Debo's going to be back week 1, but I'm looking closer like the 70, 75, maybe receptions.
Right. And if he stays healthy, he really does have a good shot. Kyle Shanahan is unparalleled at not only putting those guys in position, but picking those guys and that are going to fit into his system. So I definitely think that they paid him for a reason. It's just, unfortunately, they haven't seen him on the field yet. Now they're finally going to get a chance.
Yeah. And I think Kyle wants to say the same thing to everybody. Yeah. In your face, jerks. Like, look, yeah, you immediately laughed at us for paying all this money. Look at this guy.
Yep.
95 receptions, 1,030 receiving yards, 8 rushing yards, 50 touchdowns.
I mean, look what he did with Devontae Freeman, and I don't think there's anybody out there that would say that Jerick McKinnon's not more explosive than Devontae Freeman. So,
no, certainly not.
So, I mean, as long as he has returned to his pre-injury form.
He made Tevin Coleman
right.
A dynasty darling.
Sure.
He's made Raheem Mostert a dynasty darling. He made Matt Breida look good.
Right.
So, I mean, it's almost like any running back this guy touches, all of a sudden you're like, ooh, I want some of that. Mm-hmm. Can I get some of that? Matt, bold prediction, number 4, coming out of your camp, healthy. Give it to me.
All right, number 2 for me, number 4 overall. Wide receiver, New England Patriots, Gunnar Olszewski.
Sounds boring.
Sounds like I nailed it. Will outperform N'Keal Harry this year from a fantasy perspective.
Oh, bold.
Thank you very much. So if
That's
you guys
pretty bold, a first round pick to Gunnar.
Absolutely. So Gunnar is a guy who was an undrafted free agent out of some college. I really don't even. It's Bemidji.
Dude, change your college.
State. I mean, honestly, I have no idea how to say it. Bemidji State.
It's spelled again.
Bemidji.
I have no idea.
Exactly. So he was a cornerback there, converted to wide receiver last year, and made the roster towards the end of last year. And then this year he has all the reviews out of campus. He's the second best wide receiver in camp. He's the most improved wide receiver from last year that's still around. And
I picked him up. I got shares.
I definitely picked him up. 6 foot, 190 pounds, just like a traditional type of, I think, slot wide receiver. But we all know that Cam loves to pepper the slot wide receivers. So it'll be Julian Edelman on one side, Gunnar will be on the other side. There's been little to no buzz about N'Keal Harry looking good. So it's just, I think, a matter of time before he kind of supplants him and is out there more than him.
Nice. It's nice, pretty bold.
Pretty bold. It's nothing crazy. This is like a low end guy that you can stash. And definitely worth a pickup in my opinion.
It's not that hard at this point for somebody to outproduce N'Keal Harry.
I concur.
All right. Next bold prediction for me. Bold prediction number, my third one.
Your third one. It's 5 overall.
J.K. Dobbins will be a running back 1 the second half of the season and will flirt with round 1 startup value going into the 2021 startup class. J.K. Dobbins, tons of positive reports come out of camp. A guy who we loved, who we had his 1B here in our rookie startup during the tape process alone. And he goes into a system that's the number 1 rushing team in the NFL that fits this RPO scheme perfectly. If Baltimore's actually going to utilize the pass catcher running back, which is what we kind of have a feeling they want to do, and they've been trying to find that guy to be that guy over the last 2 years, finding these speed running backs that have good hands to get on the outside to go with a guy like Lamar Jackson, this could just be fantasy gold. So if he turns into that second half running back 1 and finishes the year strong, like I think they're going to do, how they're just going to ease him into kind of like the Alvin Kamara role, Miles Sanders role, how almost the same exact thing as the Miles Sanders effect
from last year. Yep.
From last year.
Absolutely.
Everything that happened with him last year, I look to happen with J.K. Dobbins, but even more so. Because I think he's going to look even better behind that better offensive line. They did lose Marshall Yanda. That kind of hurts.
It does.
Big time. But it even opens up the screen game a little bit more, maybe get him in the flat a little bit more. So for me, J.K. Dobbins is going to finish the second half of the year as a running back 1. He's going to look so good doing it. He's going to get the Miles Sanders effect, and people are going to want to start taking him in the first round next year.
Would it be crazy to think that since Baltimore runs the ball so much that they would be able to have and support a running back 1 and a running back 2?
No, 100% not.
I don't think so either.
This goes back to I was on a guest show last week, and I was arguing I was trying to make an argument for like Austin Eckler being one of the most undervalued high-end running back 1s out there today.
Yep.
And one of the questions was, well, aren't you worried that now he's the main guy that he'll do worse? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like he's going to get more touches. He's going to do better. And as you get to remember, this is a guy who has consistently proven to be a running back 1.
And what did he show over the first 10 games of last season?
Running back 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Running back 3 overall.
Right.
Melvin Gordon came back. He was still running back 1.
Yeah.
But my main point was going back. If you go back just a couple of years ago as well, before Austin Eckler got hurt, you have to remember, Melvin Gordon was like running back 3, and Austin Eckler at the same time was like running back 9. He was still a running back 1 because of how well he catches the football. And there were this is something like, oh, will they get away from the catches? They won't, because they scheme him for that, because that's his strong suit. That's what you're going to do. It's like you're not going to throw the ball all of a sudden to Christian McCaffrey. No, of course you're going to do that because it's your strong suit. In today's NFL, it's the easiest way to open up the field is utilizing a running back there if you have a really good pass catcher running back.
Right, a mismatch guy.
Yeah. Austin Eckler is literally one of the best in the league. It's him and Christian McCaffrey, 1A, 1B. when it comes to pass catch and running backs. So same thing with like J.K. Dobbins.
You could probably throw Alvin in there. He's pretty good too.
Alvin Kamara, very good. I mean, Tariq Cohen's pretty good, but he's really small.
I wouldn't.
He's on that level.
Yeah, I wouldn't put Tariq anywhere close to him.
But from a pass catching standard, yes. So J.K. Dobbins, to me, can he support a running back 1, a running back 2? 100%.
Yeah.
On a team that runs the ball as much as they do, they could almost support, if granted he's in a PPR game like Austin Eckler was, all his points came through the air. If J.K. Dobbins to be involved enough in the passing game, they could support 2 running back 1s.
Yeah, that was my whole point. Like they run the ball so much there. I think they can support both. If J.K. Dobbins just takes a little bit of the reception, I think from just a rushing standpoint, that they can support both those two. A running back 1 and a running back 2, and be fine with that. I think that's how they want to win games.
And those over 35 touchdown passes that came from Lamar Jackson last year could start to go a little bit more towards the rushing side of the game. So, or J.K. Dobbins to be on the other end of some of those receiving touchdowns as well.
Offs,
so,
yep.
I love J.K. Dobbins. I said it before in this podcast. I had a lot of number 2 shares that I was able to trade up for, and I took Jonathan Taylor in almost all of them. And I wish I would have taken J.K. Dobbins in 95% of them.
And I told you that if I would have had that number 2 pick, if we would have made that trade, it would have been for J.K. Dobbins. It would not have been for Jonathan
I still
Taylor.
have multiple Dobbins shares, and it was more. I only have 2 Jonathan Taylor shares. Both came from the second slot, and then one was a startup draft. I got them in. So it was like one of those things. I just want to get a share. Like I have 1 share of DeAndre Swift. I have no shares of Justin Jefferson. So when you're in 20 dynasty leagues, when it comes to these rookies, sometimes like in each different pick, you want to diversify.
I totally get that.
Yep. At least. So, but I don't have enough of J.K. Dobbins, and I'm starting to feel like Matt, like he's the kind of player, like so far, like throughout the years of doing the podcast, there's always like a player here and there. I mean, even going back to Devontae Adams, George Kittle, guys that we just like, we get a good feeling about. Like even that guys that everybody knows about now.
Oh yeah.
Where an overpay today is an underpay tomorrow, right? That's what I've been saying for 6 years. Sometimes players are just an overpay today, it's an underpay tomorrow. I feel like J.K. Dobbins is an overpay today and underpay tomorrow. 21 first, a 21 second, and give him a running back.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I only got him in 1 league, and it was a startup league. I didn't get him in any of my rookie drafts, but I was really happy to get him. And then it was one of the Dynasty trade calculator guys just tried to trade with me the other day, and he sent over the Antonio Gibson for J.K. Dobbins.
Oh, JP Hurley. Dynasty trade calculator.
I wrote back, come on, man. And then he wrote, just doing a heat check. I was like, I understand.
He did the same thing for me. He sent me an Antonio. Remember, because he wrote in the group chat, he's like, what is no Antonio Gibson fans here? I wrote back in me, I was like, yeah, for the right price.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
I look at listen. I was somebody out of this podcast. I was bigger on Antonio Gibson than both of you guys.
Right, absolutely.
I love this film. And I said, this is a guy I'm going to have tons of shares of. Mm-hmm. But right now, with what his value is, I'm selling.
Yeah, it's through the roof right now.
Yeah, I'm selling Antonio Gibson because he's uncertain. He's only got 77 touches in college or 33 carries. I mean, everybody knows his stat.
Right.
Right now, everybody's talking Antonio Gibson, which I like him. I think I like his film. But we're talking about a guy who has limited tape.
Very limited film. I mean, even
on a limited team.
Right. Even when you're watching his film, like it's just like you're just watching him block half the time because he was just running routes so he wasn't getting the ball. Like,
when he touched the ball, I thought he was dynamic.
Right.
I had him higher than anybody else in our rankings. I did podcasts early on saying this is a guy. Remember I said before, and I was like, he will be outstarting Darius Geis by the middle of the year. Like I think he was that talented.
And that's the thing. He looks much more special with the ball in his hand than running a route.
For sure.
So he needs to be a
Bryce
running back.
Love, Bryce loves to buy. He's a cheap guy. Like Bryce loves to buy.
Sure.
Antonio Gibson's to sell.
Yep.
For the right price. If you can get any kind of established player, like I was offered in a league, he just took it back, and I would have smash accepted, but I have so many. I have way more young receivers, even though I need that veteran receiver. I was offered Adam Thielen for Antonio Gibson straight up. That's it. It's fair. But like my running backs are older. I have no young running backs, so it's like almost worth the gamble. And I have Brian Edwards, Denzel Mims, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Thomas. So like I'm okay at receiver. No old proven guy.
You got Michael Thomas. I mean, you have Michael Thomas as the vet.
Vet.
But you could probably use one older guy.
And I have some other older guys that are like,
because those other guys are all. I mean, they're all rookies.
It's tough. I'm still thinking about it. So, moving on, Matt. We spent a lot of time on that. J.K. Dobbins went off different branches here, but we're still doing bold predictions. So, Matt.
Yep.
Bold predict away.
My number 3rd one is, Trent Taylor, wide receiver of the San Francisco 49ers, if you guys forgot who he is.
So can't talk about defense and not talk about TT.
Will outscore all other wide receivers, not named Deebo Samuels, on the 49ers and be a low-end wide receiver 3 this year.
So basically he's going to outscore Brandon Ayuk.
He's going to outscore Brandon Ayuk. And Kendrick Bourne? What, Dante Pettis? There's the Dante Pettis people out there. What are you talking about? He is going to be the 2nd best wide receiver on that team.
I will not argue that. Because
this is bad. This is harkened back to my last year's very bold.
Kittle will be the number 1 receiver. Deebo will be the number 2. McKinnon will be the number 3. And he'll be the number 4. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Who will have more receiving yards? Raheem Mostert? Or what's the guy's name?
Trent Taylor for sure.
I knew his name.
Get out of here. He's going to have at least 850 yards.
Matt, will he be the most important question here?
Yes.
Is he a top 36 fantasy receiver?
I said he's going to finish as a low-end wide receiver 3.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that part.
Because you just tuned out after Trent Taylor, didn't you?
Trent Taylor, here we go.
Yep.
Bold.
He's going to finish as a low-end wide receiver 3.
Listen, if he's a wide receiver 3, then he's startable.
He's going to be catching tons of balls.
To get there, porn star.
Exactly.
Next on the clock, number 4, my bold prediction, Derrick Henry will be on the outside of the top 16 fantasy PPR running backs.
Not only is he not a running back 1, now he has fallen out of the top 16.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Top 16.
Wow.
Running back 17, Matt.
Wow.
Just like Joe Mixon last year. I just look at a guy who's very talented.
Oh, yeah.
On a team that you should be able to probably stack the box against, that lost their right tackle in Jack Conklin, that completely overdid it last year and outproduced every margin of what he should have done last year.
Did you see how worn down he looked in the playoffs? That last game, he just looked like he just didn't have any juice left. They
ran him hard.
They ran him into the ground.
You're talking about a guy for 3.5 years didn't do anything, right? And then last year they gave him tons of carries. But even last year, like it was like, for the most part, it was kind of like he had 6 really, really, really good games, and then like a couple good games, and this average games, which is fair for any receiver. But Matt, he scored 18 rushing touchdowns last year, or 18 touchdowns last year overall. That's not going to happen again.
That's LeGarrette Blount-esque.
Yeah, that's not going to happen again. So say he comes back down to about 9 touchdowns. That's 50 points.
That is 9 more touchdowns that my man, A.J. Brown, is going to catch.
For sure.
That's what I love to hear.
I think the receiving game is just take a step forward. I think Jonnu Smith is going to take a step forward here. You can look up for me a little bit of regression from a guy like Ryan Tannehill. It's just with Derrick Henry most likely not being involved in the passing game, I look for him to regress to right around running back 17. Now, do I think this is likely? No, but I'm going bold.
Bold. Right? These are bold.
And I just look at him to finish where I normally think he really is like a mid-range running back too.
Right. No, because he doesn't offer much in the passing game. I think he had a few fluke games where he broke off really long runs. The Browns game came to the top of my mind there. He had like a 70-yard reception or 75-yard reception for a touchdown. So he besides those big plays, he doesn't offer anything in the passing game. And they went out and spent, a third round. Was it a third round on Darrington Evans? Yeah. It was a third round pick this past year on a guy that's going to basically specialize in that kind of role anyway. So he's not going to have anything there. It's going to be all volume and all touchdowns. So if he does have any sort of regression on the touchdowns, he's going to slip some. I don't know that he's going to slip all the way to 16, but
bold, man.
Bold.
I'm not here to be mild.
Right.
I'm here to be bold.
Bold.
Okay. Habanero.
Bold move, Cotton.
Matt, you're up.
So my next bold prediction is Ryan Nall will lead the Chicago backfield in carries this year.
My.
David Montgomery, obviously right now, has got a bad case of the groins. and is going to miss.
Okay.
No, he's got a growing injury, and he's going to, he's missing probably at least the first couple of weeks, but it could stretch on, and those are the kind of injuries, especially on running backs that need to cut laterally, that I could definitely see coming back to haunt him if he tries to return a little bit too early. So just look for that to be kind of a reoccurring thing, and for him to be pulling himself out of games and not really performing up to snuff, I guess, which I don't know that we even know what his up to snuff looks like completely. So right now is really the only banger, between the tackles type of guy that they have on the roster. It's Tariq Cohen and it's Ryan Nall and it's David Montgomery. So, just by default, I wanted to get the name out there and say, hey, this guy might actually lead this backfield in touches if this is an issue going forward.
I think the Chicago offense rebounds this year. I think Mitch Trubisky holds on to the starting job for all 16 games. I think he does take a mild step forward. I think David Montgomery rebounds off of his terrible year last year, is just subpar. Mm-hmm. It looks better. I think Allen Robinson's going to help that. I think Cole Kmet's going to help that, along with a guy like Jimmy Graham. And I think Anthony Miller is going to help it. I think the core players that they have, if you take out Allen Robinson, who I think's elite, mm-hmm. It's a bunch of guys who are above average. They're solid guys on NFL rosters. Where if that was like, if the Bears were my team, like I'd be like, dude, I'm pumped about Anthony Miller coming out. I
sure.
like him. I love his game. I love his route running coming out of Memphis. Fantastic. Like he's finally healthy now. He's going to do well. Cole Kmet, great value. Had a really good camp there for the Bears this year. Learned from Jimmy Graham. 2 viable weapons there on the weapon. I know Jimmy Graham's older than dirt, which is pretty old.
He might have invented it.
His grandpa did, for
Definitely, for sure.
So, I mean, he knew the guy, at least, who invented dirt, which is pretty impressive in itself. So, I don't know. I think the Bears are going to be like, okay. I think Allen Robinson's elite, but I think other people are going to be like, I think Kmet's going to show us some this year. Like, okay, you're in a super flex tight end premium league. Like, ooh, I'm glad I got him later. I think Anthony Miller is going to make his name a little bit more well-known. Maybe it's around that Sterling Shepard frame where it's like a low-end wide receiver 3, but still an asset.
I'm talking Ryan Nall is the next Peyton Hillis.
I can get down with that.
Bold prediction.
So, but it all comes down
to you're talking like mild, like maybe just like a little bit of pepper flake.
You're talking
here.
cover a Madden.
I'm talking cover a Madden next year.
Man.
Ryan Nall leading the backfield.
I would null that one up for sure. Let's move on, shall we?
Let's move on.
Ooh. Bold prediction number 5. DJ Shark, Matt.
Yes.
Will finish as a top 6 fantasy football wide receiver. Now, he had a great year last year.
You had me at DJ Shark.
I know I did. That's why I'm all pumped about it. He led the team in receiving yards, had 1,008. Touchdowns, had 8. And this is still a team that they threw a ton of balls to Leonard Fournette, right?
Oh.
Now, to be fair.
Where's Leo at now?
Lenny's out on Tampa Bay. He's going to be just fine. I almost want to do a bold prediction on him that he's going to be a running back 1. But I took myself back a little bit. Because now Chris Thompson's going to catch 76 footballs if he stays healthy.
Yes, he is.
But this is a team that's gutted, right? They have their defense has nobody left on it.
Nobody left.
They trade away everybody. They're going to be trailing every single game. They have no established running back. Is it James Robinson? Is it Devontae Ozigbo? Is it Chris Thompson?
Robinson's at the top of the depth chart right now.
He is at the very top of the depth chart. These depth charts can be silly. But that's okay. Mm-hmm. But this is a guy, too, that Gardner Minshew really liked to target. I mean, this is somebody who, over a guy like Nick Foles, when Minshew was in there, he showed that he liked DJ Shark the best. I mean, this is a guy who had 13 red zone targets and saw about 33% of the targets out there in Jacksonville. He's easily the number 1 wide receiver. Took a big step forward last year. You could call it last year his breakout season. Mm-hmm. And this is a guy who's established himself as a legit wide receiver in the NFL. Now, kind of like that, DeAndre Hopkins effect, and these receivers that are on these really bad football teams, they're trailing all the time. They bust out at the end of these games because they're always trailing. And DJ Shark's got the size and speed to just take the top off of a defense.
He's
and
6'4".
He's
so tall, so fast. I love him. And it's him and a bunch of guys. You know what I mean? D.D. Westbrook was kind of the guy before him, and they're saying he's playing with the third strings right now. So it's DJ Chark, it's Laviska Shenault, who's a rookie and hard to rely on, and then like Chris Conley, who showed out pretty well last year. I think he had around 900 yards or something like that.
Just
a guy as well. And Keelan Cole, another guy that's just a guy. So
if Keelan Cole could catch,
he would be
a pretty solid receiver.
He definitely would. A nice little undrafted guy. I think Kentucky or something. I can't remember where he came out of, but whatever.
Garbage.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, though, no one else to throw to. For now, at least they have Tyler Eifert at tight end, but it's going to be Eifert, it's going to be DJ Chark, and it's going to be Chris Thompson. And Chris Thompson and Eifert are huge injury risks. So we'll see how long those guys are able to stay afloat and stay fantasy relevant. But their defense, terrible, like you already said. They're sending third round picks from a year ago to Cleveland for a fifth round pick. You know what I mean? Like
crazy.
Making those kind of moves. So
yeah, starters. They're getting rid of starters.
Exactly.
And they'll sending Pro Bowlers and all pros away. So to me, this is a situation where I could look DJ Chark easily get into that 1,300 yard range just because of how many targets he's going to see and how many yards in desperate plays you're going to get. And, when you're down like 3 touchdowns, those defensive backs play a little bit more lax back there.
Oh, yeah.
So look for DJ Chark to be a top 6 fantasy football receiver because the Jaguars are so bad. The Sharks can get all the rewards.
So bad.
Matt, hit me again.
Moving on, my 5th bold prediction of the day. This has got to be a record. I don't think I've ever made 5.
You've never made 5. This is a record.
This has got to be a record.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
He's got 7 total, people.
7 total. I can't believe I came up with all of them. PJ Walker will be the starting QB by week 7 of this season. Tentative Teddy will
not let this
will
go.
have played himself out of a job week 7 against the Saints. PJ Walker, the former Temple Owl, will be starting for the Carolina Panthers. He's going to be chucking it deep. He's going to be running all over the yard, and he is going to be lighting up the world. PJ Walker.
Man, I got to poo-poo all over that one. That's not happening. That's not going to happen.
You think Tentative Teddy he's going to be pulling it off the whole year?
I do. I 100% do. I think it's going to be okay. I think they're going to put him in the right positions, keep everything short. I think they're going to play it safe. They have Christian McCaffrey. They got 3 very solid receivers and DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, young tight end. I think they're going to be just fine there. I think they will draft a quarterback because their team won't be that great.
They're definitely drafting a quarterback.
But I think you've taken this Teddy hate as far as I say the Derrick Henry at. But the only difference is at least make Derrick Henry a wide running back too.
Tentative Teddy will be a quarterback too.
I think Tentative Teddy's going to surprise you. I think he's going to do just fine.
I think he'll be number 24.
Okay, that's fair. That's not still a quarterback too, and super flex.
Never mind. He is number 31 out of 32 qualifiers.
Wait, who's 32? Gardner?
No, I think Minshew's better than him.
You think Minshew's better than Teddy?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, who's 33 or 32?
Fine, just put him in 32. Don't put me on the spot like this, okay?
I was just wondering who would be 32. I'm trying to think of a really bad quarterback.
I'm trying to think of one.
Fitzpatrick? I'll take Ryan Fitzpatrick over
I would take
Teddy.
Ryan Fitzpatrick over him as well. I'm scrolling down.
Yeah, that kind of beard and mustache and shades, and you're going to be a QB 18.
Yeah, dude. I Phillip Rivers, maybe? No.
Oh, that's close. That's close. Okay. Out of fantasy quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers, he's one of the last guys I would choose to start.
Yeah. He's bad. Taysom Hill might have a give him a run.
He's not even the starter. You're talking about Drew Brees. I'm looking for starters here. You're putting Teddy as all right. I'll listen to it, I guess.
I just don't buy it, man.
Okay.
That's just me.
All right.
I'm putting it out there because I don't buy it.
Over Jimmy Garoppolo?
Jimmy Garoppolo's way better. Different.
Okay.
He's in a different stratosphere than Tentative Teddy.
All right. Well, let's bring this podcast back down here,
all right,
shall we?
Yep.
Before we do, how about a commercial?
Let's do it.
From one of our advertisers, MyBookie. That's right, guys. The winning season returns at MyBookie. Winning season means doubling your first deposit. Guys, we're talking about free money. You've already put money into these other sites. Your free deposit, long gone, friends. Know what it means? Move on to the next one. Double that deposit at MyBookie. At MyBookie, winning season means hitting all your parlays and prop bets with your feet up, watching your team trounce their rivals. Rejoice! It's time to celebrate the NFL season. Invest in your intuition. Use promo code NERDS and double your first deposit. That's right. Drop in that promo code NERDS and you're going to get double your deposit.
That's
New
crazy.
players get up to $1,000 in free play designed to add more excitement to the sports you love and the games that you want to bet on. From live betting to championship futures, every play you want to make is waiting at MyBookie. It's simple. Make your picks, win big, collect your cash. Use that promo code NERDS and double your first deposit. Your winning season begins today only at MyBookie. Go to mybookie.com today. Check them out. Get that money in there. Double it down. Make all the smart bets. Make your future bet for the Browns to win the Super Bowl. Become a millionaire. Buy me something nice because I told you to make that bet. And then we'll talk later.
Boom.
Yeah, buy a nerd shirt.
Wow.
You got $1 million.
You got $1 million. Please go to our store. Spend a little cash.
Yeah, I gave you that hot tip, buddy.
Yeah.
Pal.
Buy a
Chica?
hat. Buy a hat.
Ooh, dad hat. Yeah, trucker hat. Ooh.
Trucker hat. Dad
Dude,
hat.
I'll tell you what.
Hooded sweatshirt.
Dude, those Dynasty Nerd members only hoodies, super comfy.
Yeah.
Love it.
I've seen you wearing it.
Yeah.
I want to get myself one.
I got two, the black and the blue.
Nice.
Yeah. So when white beats me, it blend in.
just blends right
blend
in.
Like, I got a Devontae hoodie.
Blends in with your
Dude,
bruises.
love it. Like, I'm a hoodie guy.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of hoodies.
Yeah.
Love it.
You gotta have a good hoodie, man.
And I'm not BSing. Like, if you own
Yeah.
a Dynasty Nerd shirt and I tell you it's the most comfortable shirt in the world, number one comment I get when people get a shirt, like, oh, wow, you weren't messing around.
That's
this
actually-
is really a super comfortable shirt. And I'm like,
Actually, a nice shirt.
I'm not going to podcast and lie. Have we ever lied on the podcast?
I mean, I've heard you make some bold predictions that I know.
But those are bold predictions. I'm not saying this shirt could possibly be the most comfortable shirt. I'm going, this is the most comfortable shirt ever. I'm not telling you Jerick McKinnon is 100% a running back one, high-end top 16 running back. I'm saying this is my bold prediction. All right? I'm telling you the Browns are going to win the Super Bowl. I just pray every night before I go to bed.
Every single night.
I'm like, I hope there's world peace, or I hope the Browns win the Super Bowl. If you make me pick one, I'm taking the Super Bowl.
Rich.
Listen, I'm no hippie.
I know the world can't be peaceful.
The world's going to end. I got to see a Browns Super Bowl. Listen, just get there. If we lose, I'll be heartbroken, but I'll still say we got there.
I don't know if I could stand it.
Man, all we got to do is get through Pat Mahomes. No big deal.
No big deal for the next 15 years.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Matt, give me a bold prediction.
I think you're up, sir.
Oh, Matt.
I've only got 7, so you should probably double up here or something.
Let me double up here.
Yeah.
My bold prediction number 6. We only got about 13 minutes. We're going to have to do like a little
Let's get these going. Come on.
cruise control. Matt, let me tell you about my day.
Sure.
It all started at 6 a.m. Wait, 5:59 because I wake up before my alarm goes off.
What?
I woke up.
Did you wake up 1 minute before your alarm goes off?
I usually wake up about 2 minutes before my alarm goes off. It's
That's
weird.
so body clock weird.
It is weird. But we're not talking about my body clock. We're talking about bold predictions.
Let's hear it.
So if you stopped interrupting me, who does that?
Honestly.
Duke Johnson will outscore David Johnson. That right. You could take David Johnson, his bad back, his bad year since 2016, his puny 3.7 yards per rush. That was in 2019. In 2018, he averaged 3.6 yards per rush. So yeah,
Doesn't he have a crummy wrist too? Throw that in there too.
dude, stop spanking that meat so much, David. Keep that wrist strong. Listen, Duke Johnson, on the other hand, they gave him some opportunity in Houston and run the ball. He looked good. You know what Duke Johnson averages per rush, Matt? 4.9 yards per carry. And guess what he could do? Catch the ball just as good as David Johnson. So he's also very viable in the passing game. They don't have a lot of receiving options out there that are like proven healthy. Brandon Cooks, Will Fuller. I like Brandon Cooks.
Will Fuller.
Yeah. So to me, I think David Johnson, listen, probably a great guy. Probably a really cool friend.
Yep, absolutely.
For 1 year, he was a fantastic fantasy football player
Outstanding.
in 2016. Matt, that was almost 20 years ago.
It might as
By
well.
my
have-
math.
It might as
Okay.
well have been.
I mean, dude, Tiger King was on Netflix like 4 or 5 months ago as the Rage of the World. That feels like 18 years ago.
Yep. These are COVID years.
COVID years. So yeah. Right, so this is everything's multiplied by 5.
It's like dog years.
But by 5.
But by 5.
So David Johnson was good last time 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
That being said, Duke Johnson, Matt, very boldly, very predictably, will outscore David Johnson. One DJ to the other DJ.
Yep.
Matt, hit me with a bold prediction.
All right, I'll hit you.
How many more you got left?
2.
Ooh, these are going to be good.
Yes, they are. So, number 6, Tyler Boyd
Doubling down.
will outperform AJ Green for a second straight year.
Now, this is actually bold this time.
Yes.
Because last time you said this, AJ Green was out.
He was injured, but no one knew that he was going to miss the entire season.
Truth.
This year, it is super bold because AJ Green is healthy, supposedly. But the only reason I have him outperforming AJ Green is because he is only going to be healthy for a little while. So
makes sense.
Yeah,
okay.
that's why I see Tyler Boyd outperforming him. I do not think that Tyler Boyd is more talented wide receiver than AJ Green. I just smell another injury. He already missed time with a hamstring.
He did.
And he is old and fragile. He hasn't been able to stay healthy for about the last 3 seasons. And it's just a matter of time before AJ Green goes down with some nagging sort of injury.
Well, just like anything that comes out of a box that says fragile, I do like to rub it a little bit.
So are you going to rub AJ Green?
The right way because I like him this year. I think he's like a genie in a bottle and is going to grant me a wide receiver 1, borderline wide receiver 2, finish.
He definitely will for like 3 games.
Okay. All right, it's not bad. So we're talking like Chris Thompson kind of like a receiver.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Listen, I think AJ Green has a great year.
All right.
If he stays healthy.
If he stays healthy, I concur.
Okay.
I think Joe Burrow is a very special talent at the wide receiver position or at the quarterback position, and he can distribute to all those wide receivers, but I just do not think that AJ Green is going to stay healthy.
Matt, let me give you my next bold prediction. Jamison Crowder will finish the season with 110 receptions. They go with 685 yards.
That sounds an awful lot like what he did last year.
Yeah.
So that I could definitely see happening right now. They don't have anybody else in the wide receiver core that can do anything.
Denzel Mims is back.
Rashad Perryman has got swelling in his knee, which is kind of how he started his career with knee issues, and he didn't get off to a great start there.
No bueno, man.
So I don't see him being a factor literally at all. I'm hopefully you guys didn't draft him at all in any sort of redraft leagues this year and hoping and praying that he was going to get some sort of volume.
Nope. He's not the X factor. He's the W factor.
Exactly. Denzel Mims is just going to he's going to cut into anything and probably learn a little bit from him what to do, what not to do, because he's a seasoned guy, but that's going to be his role. I don't see him being very beneficial to anybody's fantasy line.
No. So Jamison Crowder's going to come in. Yep. He's going to be Sam Darnold's target. Of course, Chris Herndon's there as well.
It's going to be those two guys.
They're going to try and find ways to get Le'Veon Bell involved more in the passing game, but it's going to be Jamison Crowder. Just kind of like start off last year and it kind of faded away with the 17 receptions in week 1. Mm-hmm. Look for that to kind of continue. Not 17 receptions week in, week out, but have we ever seen a guy have 110 receptions and finishes like a low-end wide receiver too?
It has been a while. He operates very close to the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
But he catches, he gets open, he catches things. He's not a very explosive player, but he's a reliable target.
Matt, your last and final bold prediction.
Saving obviously the best for last.
Of course.
My man, Garrett's man, Alexander Madison, will play well enough this season in Minnesota that they will decide to move on from Dalvin Cook in the offseason.
Ooh. Bold.
So obviously there's been a lot of speculation. Dalvin Cook was holding out or not holding out or holding out or not holding out for portions of this.
Or holding out.
During portions of this mini or training camp while he was trying to figure out a contract, and then they just broke off contract negotiations altogether. And I think it has something to do with the fact that they're one of these teams that's projected to be in the negative next year as far as cap space. Obviously we've discussed it on other podcasts, but for the first time forever, the NFL's salary cap is not projected to go up next year. In fact, it's projected to go backwards some. Not as much as they originally thought, but still, I think with the uncertainty there, they're just going to ride this one out. The fact that they're kind of in the negative, already projected to be in the negative for next year doesn't bode well for him. And if Alexander Mattison shows out, Gary Kubiak is another one of these guys, much like Kyle Shanahan, who knows what he's looking for in a running back and doesn't necessarily need a high-end guy like Dalvin Cook in order to get a guy that's just producing well and is able to fit into his system and is able to shine. So I could see this very much so being Alexander Madison's path.
I like that one. Mm-hmm. I think it's a good chance that one could come to fruition.
All right.
Matt, I have 3 left.
3 left. Let's burn through these.
Let's get through these quick.
You got about 4 minutes. Yep.
First one, CeeDee Lamb will finish as the top fantasy wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys.
What?
Amari Cooper, fantastic route runner.
Absolutely.
Wide receiver 1. Love him, love him, love him. I just think CeeDee Lamb is that talented of a prospect, that big of a prospect, and he will, when he gets the ball in his hands, due to the touchdown production, will outscore. I think Amari Cooper will have more receptions than him. I think the touchdowns will go to Lamb and be that red zone threat, and I think that's what will give him over the edge. I love all the Michael Gallup hype. I think Michael Gallup's a solid receiver. It's just I think CeeDee Lamb's that talented. This is me being bold.
Absolutely.
A top Dallas fantasy football receiver, and kind of just like the same way we're talking about like J.K. Dobbins jumps some tiers here in Dynasty startups. We're going to see CeeDee Lamb jump to the high end second round for Dynasty startups.
I absolutely love CeeDee Lamb. So I'm with you, man. I hope that one actually comes true.
Number 9. Mm-hmm. Joe Burrow outscores Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, Ryan Tannehill. Now, your bold prediction makes it almost impossible to outscore Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, it does.
So I think Joe Burrow, with the talented players that he has in that roster, with Joe Mixon, with Tyler Boyd, with Auden Tate, with T. Higgins, with A.J. Green, and his accuracy in his arm, will flirt with those quarterback 1 numbers and have some QB1 weeks for sure. And really, again, pivot him and skyrocket him up to that, like, not Kyler Murray status, but in startups, you're in the second round of a Superflex league, you're looking at Joe Burrow because you see what's to come for this guy. So I think Joe Burrow is going to have a very good rookie year, finish right around QB 13, 14.
So you're putting him in that Daniel Jones?
Yes.
Type of love range. Okay. All right. I just wanted to check.
In all reports of Cincinnati, he's exceeding their expectations.
He's a fantastic quarterback.
He's a great prospect.
Yep, absolutely.
So anytime you get these guys are a prospect like Joe Burrow, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to go out here and say he outscores Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's going to suffer because of just everything else around him, not because of Deshaun Watson. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be closer to what he did last year, not what you said he did this year, which is right around quarterback, like probably 15. I think they're going to try and run the ball a little bit more. Definitely in that like red zone area, which is going to hurt Rodgers a little bit more unless he audibles.
He's going to audible out and just throw touchdowns. He's going to be chucking them all over the place, Rich.
And I like Tannehill a lot. I just think he regresses a little bit as well.
Sure.
So I look for Joe Burrow to establish himself. And my last and final bold prediction is Hayden Hurst, not Leonard Fournette, will finish as a top 3 fantasy tight end in this offense. I mean, I've said this before. When you look at a guy like Dirk Cotter, who's their offensive coordinator since 2014, this is a guy who averages over 600 pass attempts a year. I mean, last year they threw the ball 684 times because their defense was terrible and they had no running game. Well, right now, Todd Gurley can go down at any moment. I like Todd Gurley this year. I think he's going to play all 12 games. I think he'll be fine. But it's still
all 12 games?
16.
All right.
They're going to throw the ball a ton, and the tight end is a huge part of their game. I mean, this is a guy who had over 100. This is a team that throws to the tight end over 100 times the last 2 years. And you can say, yeah, well, Austin Hooper was there. Austin Hooper's a pretty good tight end, but he's nothing dynamic when it comes to like special. No more dynamic athletically than Hayden Hurst. And you could probably argue that Hayden Hurst is even more athletic than a guy like Austin Hooper.
I think if you're a metrics person and you were looking that up, you would find that Hayden Hurst was more explosive.
And this is a guy who they went out and got. They gave up a second-round pick for him. He's a big part of their plans here in 2020. Look for this team to throw a ball a ton and look for Hayden Hurst to be the benefit of that, which he's going to out-edge one of these top 3 tight ends to finish in the top 3. I want to say it's going to be top 4, but that's not bold enough for me.
Top 3.
So I'm going to go top 3.
So he's knocking Mark Andrews off that pedestal.
Yep. Put a little, well, could be.
Could be.
Maybe
Mark Andrews is knocking somebody else off of that pedestal.
Maybe
it's Mark Andrews,
Hayden Hurst,
and
Travis
Kelce.
And then George Kittle.
You never know.
Could be any way you want to say. Hey, throw the die.
Yep.
Let the luck of the draw find you.
Yep.
So before that, we said at the end of the show, we are going to do some Nerd Herd giveaways, which comes with all access to Nerd Herd and, of course, the Dynasty GM tool for a free month. Now, as the season starts, this is the best time to have this. So this is why we're going to do some giveaways. All you have to do is hop on the Twitter. That's it. Is say why, or honestly, you can even use the Facebook group too. I'm gonna pick more. I might pick one winner from the Facebook group, but I'll probably pick multiple winners from Twitter. All you gotta use is the hashtag NerdHerd and just say why you think you deserve a free shot at the Nerd Herd. To be a member. Like why, like maybe why you've been hesitant, why, and you think a good month could do you good, or just any reason why.
Give a reason. Show us why you would want it.
Yeah, a free membership. Now, if you're a Nerd Herd member, don't feel left out because we're gonna have a giveaway for you next show. So no need to enter this contest. It's a free month. You already have your month. Don't interrupt your free month.
Don't interrupt.
Your paid month.
We got something else.
Yeah, we got something for you coming up next.
Yep.
Next show. Tune in. Because guess what? If you're a Nerd Herd member, you get the Nerd Herd episode. Bonus. Chance for free. So use the hashtag Nerd Herd and just say why you would like the chance had to be a member of the Nerd Herd for a month. That's all. We'll pick probably about 5 of you guys.
Nice.
Give you free memberships, hang out for a month, and then it's
been a while since we had a giveaway, man. I like
we don't do enough.
Yeah,
we gotta do some more. We got some shirts to give away soon too. But let us know. Happy to have you, and then hopefully you stick around. To me, the best Dynasty football website in the world.
Not biased at all.
Completely biased. Listen, other guys are DLF's great. Dynasty Trade Calculator, great. Dynasty Happy Hour, great. They're all great. Behind us.
Come on.
Hey, we're friends with all of them. We can say that. Yep. So you only make fun of your friends to their face.
Exactly.
Hey, friends. Number 2s. Oh, no, Odell's decided. Gotta get out of here.
Adios.
Guys, we'll be back next week.
See you.